is going to get the kill for Penny. That's the same player.
Getting that regen and then going into damage. Looking out.
Every time moving in a bad spot, he gets caught up by the silence cut. He needs to wait for it to get off, and he will wear off. He tries to run away, but Trigger will find him with the dash. But at what cost? So low, he's on the wrong side of things. Bart will only be barely escape out of there, by the way, with this. He's trying to get the Tequila rages around. And honestly, no cost whatsoever. We finally have our first kill of the game, and it goes towards Triggerfinger. It will end up picking up the first turn of the game as well, which is a really huge swing. And a
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Pillow and it's my honor and pleasure to once again welcome you to the Awesomenauts Rumble Scrim Show. This is a weekly show where we take competitive gameplay from the Awesomenauts community and we cast it right before your eyes. Joining with me today for this endeavor is Pyro Cheese. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Meeting myself at the right time and everything, so it's a good day so far.
Indeed. So we have two. If this is your first time tuning in, what we do is we take two scrimmages submitted by the community each week. We talk about the comps, we talk about the drafts, and we cast them right before your eyes. So it's plain and simple. Now, with that said, I want to remind everybody that we're also doing our Gathers tournament this weekend. That you have until the end of today to sign up, actually. In the business today, and signups are closed, so you won't be able to use that Google form no more. So, get your signups in while you can. And if you don't, well, whether you do or don't also forget to watch the stream this weekend. It's going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern, both Saturday and Sunday. But you guys are here to watch another stream at 12 p.m. Eastern right now. And we with that very awkward segue, we're gonna get into the first match.
Smooth as butter as always.
Thank you. So first off, just to remind everyone about how our betting system works. If you type red or blue into the chat, we are keeping up with it manually, and all you gotta do is type red or blue, and if you guess correctly, whoever wins, then you're gonna be eligible for a giveaway after the match. So with that said, so looking at the teams here, on your red team, you got PI73R, Tolkai, and Decominion, and they're going to be banning out Vinny and Swiggins and picking up a Chucho Croc, a Jimmy and the Lux 5000, and Ayla. And on the blue side of things, you're going to have Uberancy, Alexius, and Nanba, banning out Genji and Durple, and picking up a Ted, picking up a Swiggins, picking up a Deadlift. So with that said, Pyro, how are you feeling about these comps, sir?
Pretty good. First thing, just on a managerial note, I think the pick and bans are off on the stream side. So for instance, on the team that I have that is picked Ted, Swigs, and Deadlift, they have banned Ix and Genji. Okay, and then on the other side they have banned Skolder and Vinny, just because I see a banned Swiggins as well as a picked Swiggins. Just want to say.
Oops, my bad. I do that like every week. I need to get better about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say anything, but it's all good. It's all good. What's important though is that the pick knots are actually accurate. So you're going to be seeing a Ted, Swiggins, Deadlift against a Chucho, Lux, as well as an Ayla. So with that in mind, I think it's going to be a kind of an intense match based on the matchup right there. I think it's going to be a very, very brawl heavy. I mean, Deadlift and Ted are definitely kind of like more of the brawly kind of knots, as well as on the other team. Lux is just a tank. Like he's like built for tanking things and kind of like getting in there rough and tumble and actually being able to brawl and survive relatively well. As well as Ayla, that's kind of arguably her thing, you know, with her rage. The more targets that she's hitting at the same time, the more damage she's doing, as well as the more shield that she has based on how many targets that she's hitting. So I think it'll be kind of interesting to see this kind of play out. Just like I said, I'm kind of expecting a pretty intense match, I should say, between these two comps.
Indeed, and And one of the things that I think that can do a lot of the work here is that Ted, because again, that matchup versus Isla, he can just knock him away. Let's get the stun cancel, and that's also really important versus all three of the enemy team, because it messes with the momentum of Chucho and Isla. And being able to cancel that Jimmy mid-charge, being able to cancel mid-missiles is extremely important. That's exactly what the multitude of stuns that Ted has access to, allows him to do. Deadlift shield, I don't know how good that's going to be here. It's going to let them definitely, stay in the fight a bit longer, but, it's versus 3 DPS nods, and it's going to melt. There's not going to be any one big burst that he'll be protecting him from, except maybe an Evil Eye or a Sticky Bomb. But primarily, he'll be there to kind of, just give an extra second or two of sustainability to his teammates when they go in hard. Which, that's still very important, but it's not going to be the same as taking a spike dive from a Vinny or something for your whole team. No, this is versus DPS. You got Swiggins here, and if Alexius can be on point with the Swiggins, I think that'll be the main kind of point of contention, because if you're getting these guys consistently locked down and make it so that they can't retaliate and that they can't juke you, I think that those will be the very, very clean pickups for the blue team that the red team won't have much to say about, to be perfectly honest.
No, yeah, I definitely do agree. One of the main strong suits, I would say, of red team right now, the one with Lux, is their mobility. And that is kind of key to a lot of their things that they can do. Ayla moving around, be able to kind of control the flow of her movement, as well as, how many targets she's hitting in that. Chicho with the bike, with the quick escape or the quick entry with his bike, if I didn't say that already. Having the Swiggins there, potentially locking them down, restricting movement, and keeping them in a place where they don't want to be, that could actually be potentially devastating to a particular member of the other team. So we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, I do expect something interesting to come out in this case. Something exciting, especially when it comes to team brawlings overall. But we'll have to see how things play out more specifically.
Absolutely. Are you ready to get into this, my friend?
Yes, I am. Are you at 21 seconds?
I am. Would you like to give us a countdown?
All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're off. On the red side of things, you got Tokai playing the Jimmy, you got Neko playing the Ayla, and you got PI-73R, PI-73, or I don't know, playing the Chucho Croc. The blue side of things, you got Uber NC playing the Ted, you got Alexius playing the Swiggins, and Namba playing the Deadlift, and they are off to the races. Looks like Uber. Oh, Namba's actually gonna burn. He didn't even burn the Invis. That was a nice leap there to go ahead and take the Stealth Orb. He is gonna be detected a little bit by Tokai, and he's just gonna run into the wall. Ultimate ninja tactic, and we see a little bit of a PI-73R. He's just gonna be clearing on the top lane. We're not gonna see anything happening yet. Here comes a slight lane rotation coming out from Grancy and Alexius, and Alexius is going to go and land the hook on Tokai. Airstrike going to come out. The charge has been consumed. He is being pummeled with the auto attacks there, but Neko's actually going to go in and find the frag on Grancy, but not before Alexius goes and gets Tokai out of the way. Then he takes the jump pad and gets last hit by the turret. Neko going in onto Namba. Namba's going to have to get out. Neko not wanting to chase him off that jump pad, and now they're going to go to the top lane. Their Rage and the Evil Eye going to quickly clean up some droids there, and Neko being cautious about trying to contest that wave clear by Namba there, knowing he's only at about 1/3 HP. Don't want to do anything too risky. And that Invis Orb getting picked up by Jimmy. Tell me, how scary is an Invis Orb from Jimmy on Aguilon Pyro?
On Aguilon, it can be pretty scary, especially depending on who you're up against. I think in this case, it's not going to be as bad as it could potentially be, because they do have a Ted with a stun pack. Talk about first items all the time, and first item stun pack on Ted is always fairly common. Always really good, to be perfectly honest. I kind of like stun, even if it's just enough to cancel abilities or cancel movements. It's really, really strong in certain cases. So I don't think it's going to be super effective. I mean, we just saw him burn it and not really go for any kind of initiation, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's okay. Just still getting that invisibility, getting a little bit of that power play, making the other team a little bit on edge. It's also a little bit of the mind games, you could say, going on and on Aguilon with the invis, because so certain characters do benefit from invisibility way more than others. And that's just not exclusive to those characters who have an invisible ability. such as on other maps. See, like right there, Lux tries to go for an initiation right there. Not going to find it, unfortunately. Instead, Alexius with the swigs is going to be caught a little bit, going to be lower than the Ted who was initiated upon. And with that, they're going to be a little bit on the defensive. Just going to be looking to clear these droids out before they can get too much damage on the turret.
And his team needs to get away from there. He almost fragmented.
Right. Yeah, it's always kind of funny, especially when you're like solo queue or like you're not communicating over mics or anything like that. Just seeing a sticky bomb on you or your team, we're just like, all right, we need to avoid each other. But are you going this way or going that way? Are we staying still? What are we doing here? So let's go as a kind of a fun little footsie right there going on there. But with that, things are not going to be too much intensive right now. It's going to be just simple clearing droids, just making sure that things are going to be kept at bay from each other's turrets. Just seeing that there's not going to be a whole lot of damage. There's going to be a little bit of push on the top blue turret. Alex is going to be going in with that. They're going to be able to barely get out, I feel, as well as Nanba. Nanba actually getting into 1 bar and just getting out due to his protective pose. And with that, so Uberancy is left alone to defend both bottom and top turret. Bottom is going to be naturally pushed by their droids. Right there, Lux is actually going to be caught right there. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier when it comes to the restricting movements of certain characters that actually rely on moving so heavily, especially that Lux to charge to get out. It doesn't matter if he has shield on that. You know, if you're stuck there for another 2 or 3 seconds, that could be the end of you, frankly. And that's exactly what we saw there. So Blue's going to get some good push on the top turret. Uberance is going to be doing some nice structure damage right there. That's, you know, what side is really good at, just auto attack damage in general. And with that, turret damage is going to be relatively equal. And that is going to be just a sticky bomb on Uberance right there. So everything's going to be chilling out a little bit more than that. So when it comes to the push game, Pillow, who do you think has really the advantage here? Because I was talking about brawling comps in general, and this is a pretty brawl-heavy team overall. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's about pushing their base. So how do you feel about that?
Well, the push is definitely in favor of the red team. They have a lot more chip options. You know, they see a 1 HP droid casually going towards the base. They might have to wait a second and see Deadlift going in. He's gonna take an evil eye, gonna see a few auto tech exchange, and then he's gonna walk out relatively unharmed. But anyways, for example, red team, they have a 1 HP droid up against a turret. Or like right now, Tokai, he gets the missile assault, but he's actually gonna get hooked. He's gonna get charged again. It's gonna be the exact same death that he had just a couple seconds ago. And now that's gonna be a 1 for nothing in favor of the blue team, and they're gonna go in. Neko gets hooked. He's not gonna get the anchor drop on him though, just the dive. And the airstrike comes out. PI-73R goes down. Last hit by the anchor drop of Alexius, leaving Neko alone to defend. And he's gonna go ahead and use the Evil Eye 1 droid, but he is raging through protective posts and droids, and this might be going down. There's not much more he can take. He leaves him with an Evil Eye before he leaves lane. And now Tokai going in, being a bit too aggressive. Don't get hooked again, my friend. And he's just gonna relax and go ahead and clear the droids. But yeah, anyway, so see, if you just happen to kind of notice, hey, I could shoot the turret, Tokai can do that with missiles. Neko can do that with Evil Eye. Chicho Kruk can leave his turret there. Whereas all the pushing from the blue team, except maybe Ted, you have to commit to. And Tokai gonna get hooked right here, but his team is here to support him. Might be a big engagement coming out. Looks like that's going to be about it. And then the Awesomenauts is just gonna continue from here. And Uberancy Alexi is guarding that jump pad rotation. And not really much else of note happening at the moment. That they're going to be completely zoned out. It looks like Lexi's is going to go ahead and get a little anchor dive poke there. There's going to be a super droid that they have to deal with on the top lane. Uberancy doing his best to inflict pressure. Isn't that Tedris? And there's going to be the anchor drop onto PI-73R. And here comes the airstrike. It's not going to hit anything. Neko seeing what he can do. Not going to be that much. Tokai just kind of chilling on bottom. He's waiting for the next set of droids to missile while Neko takes here at the top lane. Looking at the builds here, we see something like especially interesting on Jimmy, like Regen and Buttes. You see cooldown being picked up first on Isla. How do you feel about this, Pyro?
I think it's an okay set of options, I would say. I mean, Lux overall right now is looking for just at raw sustainability. He has double Medican as well as nano repair robots, so he's going to be in lane as much as possible, which is, I think, good just to have a presence, especially when you're behind like this. Ayla does have crabbers as well. Chucha's not having any sustain upgrades. He's going damage. Actually pick it a little bit late into what item is that? 4-eyed visor, which is going to be dot on his sticky bomb. Cooldown on Eye, you know, you were talking earlier about like being able to poke at turrets, and one of the things that I would say also is stronger about the red team or the blue team is that they do have options as far as poke on the enemy team. And if we wanted to get into like kill conditions and like kind of like win conditions, I do feel like it is going to be a little bit more on the red team's part to get not necessarily in there, but actually just being able to poke the enemy team. Because right now, the enemy team doesn't really have a whole lot of sustain, it seems. Not Chucho. Deadlift does have his heal over time on arm, but still, just being able to do enough poke damage. I'm not seeing a whole lot, honestly, between, you know, missiles or well-placed sticky bomb or, you know, an eye, things like that. She did get cooldown on eyes, so I would have expected to see a lot more of eyes in general, but I'm not really seeing too much of that. And I think just being able to suppress them in that manner. Hold on, the Uberans is going to be caught out right there and is going to get a sticky bomb, and that is going to be him down. Chucho, on the other hand, is going to be as well caught out and going to be going down too, so it's going to be left with the 2v2. And Lux is still going to be going in. Ayla going to be abandoning him, though. Not too much going to go on other than that. Overall, Deadlift and Swiggins are going to be heading back a little bit just to heal. And the favor in that team fight, even though it was for one trade, I think is clearly in the red team's favor, although there is going to be a hook right there that's going to be landing on Lux. He does have both magnetic anchor and broken pneumatic spoons, and that's going to be right there. Locks cut out again, unfortunately. Nakomi is just going to be looking to get out of that just to save himself, basically. So overall, it was kind of a interesting team fight. Two team fights that basically led it in 1-for-1 trade, and then eventually amounted to a 1-for-nothing trade. So it's going to be the red team again on the defensive. Ooh. And then yeah, that was nice right there. PI 73er, however you want to describe his name, is going to be able to chase that Swiggins and actually finally get that kill and force them back off a little bit. So overall, turrets are relatively the same, although there were a couple of kills exchanged, making it 6 kills for the blue team as well as 4 kills for the red team.
Definitely, and the red team, they just need to be a little bit more coordinated. If Tokai can find, that perfect initiation, just create space between the enemy team, and of course I always say this every time I cast a Jimmy play, but if he picks up Micey the Peg Pilot, then he'd be able to go in, he'd be able to disengage on these guys when they try to do it, and the goal here is, I think, for the red team is to not do what Neko did and get caught on the jump out of rotation there, but to create distance between the enemy, it's between them one another. So, you want to find that Ted or Deadlift and push him away from the rest of the blue team so that while you're fighting him, blue team is just trying to move across lane, just trying to catch up, and PI-73R is just going to get completely caught out, completely underestimating the airstrike in the anchor dive there, and that's going to leave Tokai alone to defend for a bit while Neko is back in lane. Gets nice damage in going on. They should be able to pick something up here. They're all incredibly low, but Tokai's going to get caught by the anchor drop. Alexi is saving his teammates, and that's going to kind of reset momentum. There's going to be some droids pushed on bottom lane, it looks like. Not really much of note happening. I mean, Uberan sees some biz. He's waiting to make the big play. And will he make it, though, is the question. There's going to be a whiffed anchor dive, and here comes the airstrike, here comes sticky dive. A charge going to come out and going to push them all down to the bottom pit, and there's going to be lots of Pokemon in. Now is when the red team can go in hard. I don't want to see them just chilling in the back here. I want, for a moment, the blue team was all 50% health. I will want to see them capitalize on things like that. But they are going to get pushed back to their turret now. And Jimmy just gonna go ahead and missile that. He's gonna get caught out, and looks like he should be done. Yeah, that's unfortunate, and he's gonna be taken out. That's gonna be another 1-for-nothing in favor of the blue team. Isla and Neko and PI-73R, they're each just gonna take their top and bottom lanes. PI-73R goes down again. That airstrike barely ticking him, and that's gonna leave Neko down to defend both lanes. He's doing his best to defend. He's doing a nice job doing besides that, but he was doing the AA canceling so that he could get more sustain, which is one of the reasons he survived so long. That's when you hold your auto attack and then enable rage. You still rage for a couple of seconds you still auto attack for a couple of seconds while you're raging, and it's a nice way to get extra DPS, and it's a nice way to keep some sustain going while you use your rage ability. So give him props for the button input being consistently on there, because that's not an easy muscle memory to learn, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. But overall, it's going to make it kind of interesting. The map is going to be opening up now with that bottom red turret going down. Overall, blue team is looking with a fairly comfortable lead at this point, frankly. 11 kills to red team's 4. It's going to make it 12 kills to their 4 now, with that Lux going down. Just, continually caught out thanks to Swigan's anchor dive, like I said. If you're getting caught out and you're someone who's restricted and who needs that kind of mobility, it makes it really, really tough. There's going to be another team fight going on. Dev is going to be leaving. Uberans are going to be left over there. But unfortunately, it is going to be Nakomian going down. Alexi's probably going to be going down here as well. Not going to be, even if he did get that health, I feel like it was going to go down either way. Yeah. So overall, that's going to be another 1-for-1 trade. Sort of 2-for-1, I guess, if you consider Lux still part of that team fight. Uberans is going to be caught out alone. He's going to be totally on his own. He's gonna be able to get out with maybe just that last second danger pins coming out from Lux. You can see it coming from a mile away, but not too much you can do about it. Unfortunately, in that situation, just kind of barreling down and hoping for the best at that point. So Oberancy is going to be going down. This could be red team's opportunity to at least get some turret damage, if not actually get some push going and maybe change things around for them. So we'll see how this plays out, but they're backing off, it seems, even though Ayla's relatively full health, so totally full health, really. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like honestly, when it comes down to it, I think I agree with you. Where I think there's a couple of potentially missed opportunities on the red team where maybe they don't really realize that they could be going in a little bit harder than they should. They took out their Ted, which is going to be the strongest defender on the blue team, and they didn't really push much at all. Frankly, maybe they were being a little cautious because, frankly, they were 2 levels behind and things like that. But there wasn't really too much action either. A little bit more opportunity could be taken from that, I feel. But I think it's just going to go back to how they were. Blue team going to be pushing up into that middle area, and then the red team going to be on the defensive for now. So,
and they might be going in, but they're just going to sticky bomb, and it's going to miss. Tokai going to get hooked again. Going to get dropped down. Namba going in. Actually manages to pick up Neko as well, and that's going to leave P73R. Manages to land a sticky bomb. One of the things that I guess kind of ties into what you were just saying is, like, for example, when they were poking down PI-73R, before that team fight, they didn't get punished at all. They were still full health after that. It's like, if they go in on you like that, make them take damage. That's what discourages them. Let them take a sticky bomb. That is your counterplay. That is, that's the high level counterplay. Honestly, that's like the most you can do. Like, hey, make it as dangerous as possible for them to go in on you, because that's what the blue team is doing. Your Neko gonna get caught out there because he goes in, he tries to do some poke, and he's not gonna be able to poke them without getting anchor dropped, without getting airstrike, without all of that blue team coming in. But the blue team goes in on the red team. They don't get charged. They don't get committed to with rage. They don't get sticky bombed, and that is making all the difference in the world in their confidence, because they know they can go in and survive. If the red team can just, continuously melt them down, they can get them down to like 50% HP just for trying something, then you don't have this situation where they all just bodied a turret and then are getting out at 25% HP. Looking at some of the, what are some of the pickups, like some of the upgrades that the red team could have to make that easier, to make it more dangerous to go in on them?
Well, one of the things, and I think you were kind of like referencing this earlier, maybe kind of a little bit ironically, but I do agree with you that what was it called? The mouse upgrade on
the mouse upgrade, Pyro.
What are you gonna? Am I wrong though? There's a mouse involved in there somewhere, is it not?
Micey the mech pilot, the best upgrade in the game. Okay.
I'm sorry. It is a good upgrade. I'll say that. I've been picking it up a lot more often myself in my Lux plays. But that would actually go a long way for a couple of reasons. One, it'll actually give you a little bit of time to get the enemy team off of you, as well as a really good initiation tool. Because frankly, if we want to talk about like missed opportunities, well, for one, there's going to be that Lux going down right there. Unfortunately, just caught out. Anchored, and then finally airstruck. This is gonna be going down simply. But frankly speaking, like, I really have not seen a whole lot of Lux action this round. Some fairly simple, just kind of like staying in lane and sustaining kind of things, but I really haven't even seen so much as like really an attempt, aside from pretty early in the game, to like go behind them, try to pin them from behind, and see if they can actually get into that. There's going to be finally the deadlift going down to the Ayla. and Ayla is actually going to be getting out. Potentially Uberancy coming down of this, and he is actually going to be going down to that danger charge again. And then Alex is going to be cut out here. It's going to be a 1v1 situation right there. Alex is going to miss his initiation, so that is actually going to be him going down right there. So it's going to be a full wipe on the blue team. You know, base exposed, all turrets up, but, you know, if you get a couple more wipes like that, that could actually be something nice. It's going to be for the red team right there. It looks like they're just going to body this top turret, a wise decision, not even waiting for the droids or anything like that. It looks like they are going to finally take a little bit more opportunity to actually take care of the advantage that they do have in the situation. But yeah, that's one of the major upgrades that I would like to see, is that might see the mech pilots upgrade, as I will never forget that now, it seems.
But I gotta give Tolkai the credit there. He made that triple kill happen, and Neko gonna get caught out there once again with the anchor drop and get lasted by Uberancy. That's gonna be a 1-0 that the red team probably really can't afford right now. But Nam and Alexius are actually occupying themselves with the Super Droid, trying not to get Zydecord in the process. And Uberancy just pushing up these lanes. Neko's going to be getting his drop. It's probably going to be about 10 to 12 seconds before he's actually at the base defending with his teammates. The red team just needs to survive, and they aren't, because we're going to see the shotgun. And okay, it wasn't a shotgun collateral, but it still was a very clean, almost instantaneous double kill coming out from Uberancy. And that should be game, because they weren't able to regroup after that last 1-0, and there it is, and taken out with a pretty commanding lead there, 21 kills to 9. So that is going to be the blue team's game. It was a very interesting match, and while it was mostly in favor of the blue team, the red team, they definitely had their comeback moments. For example, when Tolkai made that triple kill, that was a really, really clean, really good confidence. But let me ask you this: what was different when Tolkai went and got his triple kill that allowed him to get that triple, as opposed to kind of them always losing the team fights like they have been previously?
Frankly, I do think it was just having a little bit more confidence when it actually came to engaging the enemy in that situation, just because, you know, I don't think it's too distinct from any of the other team fights that we really had, you know, even with ones that were 1-for-1 trades or anything like that. The blue team was relatively low, and I think the only thing that was really considerably different was that he was actually able to face them basically one at a time. You know, he took out the deadlift early, and then it was basically him against Ted. And then after that, it was the Swiggins. It wasn't really a full-on team fight against him or anything like that. Like I said, that's the only kind of situation that was really significantly different, I would say. But at the same time, similar circumstances. They were relatively low. He just had a little more confidence, I guess, maybe potentially because they were basically 1v1ing him one at a time. But beyond that, I think it was kind of like them potentially realizing that, you know, like, this is a good opportunity for us to go in. This is, even if, you know, it's a 1-for-1 trade, it's beneficial in their situation. But, you know, it's something that's going to be not too much different from everything else, but, you know, little details, like I said. Maybe like one of the bigger differences is just 1v1 them at a time.
Absolutely. And talking also on the upgrade spectrum, not just Mice and the Mech Pilot, but in general, I gotta say, I disagree with the Region and Boots. I don't really think that was doing anything for the Jimmy. Cooldown, I can see it in theory, and that's definitely not a bad upgrade. I think underrated as a first pickup. But these guys needed numbers on the board. They needed to do as much damage as they possibly could. And I think that, honestly, it kind of felt like that the Chucho was the only one who kind of had that general idea. He was the one that was going for the DOT and the damage on Sticky Bomb, which I would have preferred to have seen DOT come out on the bike and things like that first, just because that's a lot more cost-effective damage. However, even with that said, you just need all those numbers on the board. Basically, you need to be able to kill these guys, and if you're not picking up enough damage upgrades versus deadlift, then how can you possibly hope to win those team fights? Because especially if you aren't being particularly aggressive, they're not going to get whittled down. And you have to get through all that shield, through that massive HP bar, through all that sustain, in order to do anything. But unfortunately, that's going to be the game. Really well played to the blue team. Very great attempt by the red team. Hope to see these guys back. But we're going to take a short break, and do not go anywhere, because we have another match from another set of players lined up for you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Awesomenauts Rumble Scrim Show. We are in match 2 of our final match of our show today. It is gonna be Ubi, Slevins, and Nikki versus Body Hunter, Mr. Manager, and Paulo. Before we get into the match today, I wanted to introduce my co-caster. Once again, joining me is gonna be Pyro Cheese on the mics. How you doing, sir?
Hi. Oh, nice to meet you. No, it's good to be here. Always nice to be here and agreeing to cast, definitely for sure. I totally lost my train of thought there. I was gonna interrupt you and say that I thought you meant, Body Hunter, but that time passed and it just threw my whole mind.
Pyrochi!
Yeah, right? Exactly. But anyway, we're gonna be going in and casting this another match. It's gonna be an interesting one for sure. I don't know if you had already mentioned it, but it's gonna be Slevins, Nikki, Ubi versus Paulo, Body Hunter, and Mr. Manager. So on the red team, we're gonna have Nikki on Raylan, Ix on sorry, not Ix on Cowboy. I don't know who Space Cowboy is, but Ix, and then I'm telling him, Penny Slevins. There we go. Man, I'm super. I don't know what happened between matches, but I don't know, something about that. Anyway, and then on the other team, we're gonna have a Na, Ted, and Genji on Ribbit. So, yes,
gross.
Yeah, right. The blue team is gonna have a little bit of an advantage, I would say, just with in terms of map coverage. Na and Ribbit's always a kind of a classic combination right there. I remember back when the maps were going to be displayed in the character select screen. Everyone was saying, "Oh, well, there goes Ribbit's. I was going to be Derpal, Yuri, and Na, and for better or for worse, here we have a Na and Ribbit here." So we'll see how it plays out overall. The area coverage is definitely going to be in the benefit of the blue team in the situation. But at the same time, it is going to be some strong brawling coming out from the other team as well. It's very strong in general, I would say. He's kind of like really good at a lot of things. He's a good support. He has a healing ability as well as that, refract and reflect that actually lets him be invulnerable for a while. So let him be a really, really good support as well as a good brawler. Going to be able to negate a lot of damage if properly timed. A lot of bursts that coming out from Ted, things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how things like this play out.
And yeah, no, definitely, yeah, it really will. There's definitely a bunch of different things that both teams can do. I want to give everyone a quick reminder that if you place your bets in the chat, which most of you seem to be aware of and are already doing, then if you guess who's going to win, red or blue team, if you guess correctly after the match, you're going to be eligible for a giveaway, and you have until the match begins to get your guesses in. So yeah, we have probably two of the strongest knots in the game, one on each team right now, Genji versus Penny. I think Penny wins that matchup. You get the silence, you got the amplify and pulse that kind of eats through the Monarch Blessing, but then you also have a huge damage output coming out from the other knots as well, like Ix and Ted. Put a bunch of numbers on the board. Paulo and Nikki will both be doing some area control. I'm going to give it to red team, I think, though, because while both teams have solid initiation, solid mechanisms, and solid team fights, the red team has range has horizontal range that the blue team doesn't really have, and they have a lot better of an early game. So I think if they can take an early lead here and snowball, then it's gonna go in their favor. How do you see these team fights going down? Because I mean, with things like Cocoon and Bond Swamp all being a part of the equation, it can be very, I guess, what's the right word? Hectic to watch. But like, how do you see those coming down? Like, are there gonna be clean frags, or what does it work like?
I think I doubt we'll see many clean frags. I think it is going to be a whole lot of rough and tumble. I mean, effectively, there's going to be 3 melee knots involved in this. Going to be the Penny, Ix, and Nog going to be involved in these team fights. At the same time, we're going to have some range from the Ray as well as range from the Genji and Ted. But still, a lot of up close and personal things. The thing that I see for like kill conditions wise and how like team fights I see beginning is going to be potentially either a swap from the Ix as initiation right there. Probably getting him to either close to a turret or going to be in getting to the in between the other two teammates, or a Genji Cocoon. And depending on who and when Genji gets a Cocoon on someone else could determine the outcome of a team fight, immediately right there. Was it worth going in on that at all? If they get a Cocoon on Ix, potentially Ix can just refract out of any burst that Ted might be wanting to deal it right out of Cocoon. Or if it's not in the right place or not at the right time, might not come off as anything else other than just, them being immobilized for a second, unfortunately. But other than that, it's going to be kind of tough to call it, I guess. When it comes to team fights and just brawling in general, I kind of agree that as far as like comp-wise, I do think that red team does have a little bit more advantage in just coverage overall. Like, they got the brawling, they got a good support and a good range. The other team is going to be a little bit more focused on area denial, things like that. And they don't really have too much of an answer to something like Ix other than stun to maybe get them out of a potential bond. Other than that, it's not going to be too much. But like I said, area coverage and area denial is definitely going to be in the blue team's strong suit. And a map like Ribbit, where there's a lot of like tight spaces and like a lot of choke points, that's going to be something that comes into play for sure. I see that.
Definitely. So I guess there's only so much we can say, though. So I think it's about time we go ahead and head into this match. I am at the 21-second mark. Are you ready, my friend?
I am indeed ready.
Already, 3, 2, 1, and we go off. We got Nikki playing the Raylan, you got DB playing the Penny, and you got Space Cowboy, the Sluns. Now they know what you were talking about earlier, playing the X. And on the blue side of things, you got Paulo playing the Bumblebee. Nah, Fatty Cool. That's Mr. Manager playing Ted McPain, and you got Paul the Hunter.
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear earlier. Anyway.
There you go, right there. Playing that Genji, and there's going to be theirs right now. Not much going to come out there. There's going to be a swap, and there's going to be Cocoon on Ubi. Not much going to happen. And the blue team actually taking a lot of damage during that engagement. It looks like Nikki was just, Penny were just like taking turns beating up on Paulo there. Body Hunter going to be zoned out a little bit. There's going to be a rift and a snipe. It's actually going to take them out. Body Hunter might be the first blood here. He barely gets out alive. He actually had 0 HP. When you have 0 HP and you're still alive, that means that you have a decimal of HP left. Like you have 0.1 something, but now Paulo's going to be the first blood instead and gets caught on the lane rotation there. That's going to be a 1-for-0. So far, red team being extremely aggressive, coordinated, and just pulling everything off extremely well. Taking no prisoners. The airstrike is going to hit Mash it Ubi there. There's going to be a Cocoon onto Space Cowboy, onto Slevins. Nice snipe. Actually, no, never mind. That's going to miss. So not a nice snipe. JK.
That was an alpha snipe. What are you talking about now? But yeah, things are really, really fast-paced right now. Red team going to be definitely very aggressive. Ix actually not really being afraid to bond and then immediately fract. A lot of times you see a bond them trying to see just like right there, just in order to set things up for the other team right there. It is going to be a 2-for-0 already. Like a pretty intense match already. 3-for-0 actually right there. Red team is going to be in a pretty dominant position pretty early on. 2 minutes in, a level ahead, 3 kills ahead, and they're roughly about
4-0.
Oh yeah, just about. Wow, a lot of things happening. Solar Bros has just spawned. They already have 4 kills to their team. Solar Bros is gonna just regen that house. They don't have to worry about that guy. And yeah, they are. Blue team right now is heavily staggered, frankly, as well as it's still pretty early, so respawn timers aren't that crazy, but it is gonna be a lot to take in at this point. All right, it's gonna be the 5th kill right there for Red team. This is looking like a pretty.
Kill.
Okay, all right then. Blink and you'll miss it, I guess. So, what do you think they need to do right now in order to come back from the 6 kills down already? Not even 3 minutes in. Is there something they can do at this point, or are they just snowballing out of control at this point?
Well, I mean, they are not letting themselves get out of the early game here. They need to, stop going out alone. They need to regroup. All 3 need to be together. And, they really aren't able to, find too many frags at the moment. It's not, unless everything goes perfectly, they're not really in a position to go, oh, hey, I cocooned, okay, everyone, you follow up with your abilities. So it's not really how this team fight's going to work for now. See, just like that, they try and do something, and now they're getting caught out, and there's going to be the double snipe collateral kill coming out on the Bounty Hunter and Mr. Manager, and now Paulo's left at 1 HP. That was and he's actually managed to teleport in time away from Ubi while picking up a Weedling kill onto Slevins, but still not going to be worth as cheeky as it was, and they're going to be taking down that bottom turret. Paulo wants to flank, but he has to be careful. Words are hard, and they're actually going in. They're going to go ahead and take bottom mid. Paulo's not going to contest that teleport, and they're just going to clean up the multitude of droids that they currently have to deal with. The entirety of the blue team is now back together, and Bounty Hunter is trying to see what he can find. He's going to get swamped. He has not used his abilities yet. Paulo taking a lot of poke there, and there's going to be the super droid. Not a good place to fight around. Good airstrike coming out, but unfortunately it's not going to deal enough damage. Now Ubi is just taking out Paulo. Almost takes care of Manager. I believe he had the pulse. Not quite sure why you didn't use it. And now Nikki and Ubi are going to go ahead and take out that solar boss, bringing the level difference back to 3. 10 kills to 1. And they are already pushing the back turrets 4.5 minutes in. And it's not a good situation for the blue team. And to the question, what can they do to come back? Easier said than done at this point. Easier said than done. We're gonna see X refracting through the airstrike. He's gonna go ahead and teleport back home, and not really much to note else happening.
Yeah, that's a really good sign when the cast are telling I don't really have a good answer for you when you say that, what can they do to come back? That's not really a good sign, but I mean, still interesting match. They are finally going to get a little bit of push on that top turret. It's going to be another swap right there. Going to be the team fight coming out. Nah going to go down. Penny going to go down as well. Ix is going to be on the bottom lane, trying to lifesteal a little bit off of that. Looking for some refract for that amp damage. Actually, going to be so close to dead, but not quite, unfortunately. Is going to be forced to go back. That is going to be the Ted going down. Both the Ted and the Genji going down right there. That's what 3 levels of difference are going to make right there. Unfortunately, a 1v2 still coming on the favor of the one person.
XP system, haha, is really making the comebacks happen, haha.
Right. But at this point, it is going to be pretty tough for the blue team. I think, easier said than done, and it's kind of difficult to point out specifics other than general, like, don't die. But I mean, that's gonna
don't miss your airstrike there. That's one.
Don't miss your airstrike. Don't die, and make sure you get kills. Do those things. Do the thing. Just do it.
Do the thing.
That'll be that. Do the thing. I mean, it's not over yet. I'll say things are still going on. There's gonna be a cocoon right there on the Ix. Not really too much gonna be happening on that. There was an airstrike that was attempted. Probably gonna be caught out right there, refracted, and then reflected, and then that's gonna be Ix going down right there. Is gonna be a full chase right there on the Ted though. Is that going to be him going down? Is going to get good damage on the airstrike. He did go a little bit further in just to get into a possible juke. That is going to be him down though, so it's going to be a full wipe on the blue team. while 2 are still left standing on the red team, making it 16 kills to 3. And I didn't even notice, but their bottom turret did go down at some point, so they do have face exposure. Na is going to be coming in, probably going to be coming from behind, or not, I guess. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, not the best solar boss attempt, Paulo. Not the best solar boss attempt.
Yeah, not the best I've seen. I've seen worse, believe it or not. But here we're going to have Apollo going to be going in. There's going to be a 1-for-1 trade right there. Body Hunter, Body Hunter going to be going in and then just leaving barely. There is going to be a follow-up right there on Ted from the guy. Body Hunter came in, and that's, yeah, it's going to be game. I mean, I find it difficult to believe that they're not going to just take it at this point. So with that, yeah, that was something. That was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting match, and we catch these guys playing versus each other all the time, both in tournaments and on the Scrim Show, and definitely not the closest match they've had.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to put it for sure. 19 kills to 4. At the end of it, they had a slightly above 3-level lead. And it was 7 minutes 23 seconds. That's one of the shortest matches I've seen in a while. I mean, I think the shortest match I've seen period was like 4 minutes, something like that. And to see something like this in kind of like a scrim context is definitely rare. This might be the shortest scrim I've ever seen myself personally. I don't know though. But yeah, at that point we're just snowballing. Look at the solar totals. On average, red team, every member had around 1,500, 1,600 solar. Average on the blue team, about 800, roughly half of what the red team had at their disposal. And as well as that 3-level lead, and just kind of overwhelming them at that point. And it was just difficult to come back from that after a couple of early kills. I think I mentioned at some point, 2 minutes in, 6 kills to the red team's name. At that point, I wouldn't have called it there, but that did definitely give them a big boost and enough confidence to stay in for as long as they did and actually get to that win that they did get.
Excuse me, and definitely, and I really gotta say, I'm a big fan of Nicky's Raylan. I've been seeing him pop it out more and more and competitive recently, and everyone talked about how Raylan was F tier, but he's been making it work. Ubi Penny, as always, just a classic. Just goes in, lands everything. Extremely intimidating to go against. I don't know why he doesn't get more credit as Penny, because when you talk about good pennies, people or people like that. But Ubi definitely, in my opinion, is probably one of the best pennies right now. But with that said, that's going to be the match for today. All the matches for today. So I appreciate everyone enjoying the show, and I hope you guys had a good time. Matches this on both first and second weren't as close as they usually are. Kind of interesting to kind of see things shaking up, because normally it's kind of like you don't know who's going to win until the win happens. But you had a pretty good idea. Both of these matches is the whole time. So definitely. I guess it's interesting to me to sometimes see something that's a lot more one-sided and one-directional. I want to give everyone a reminder that we are doing our Gathers tournament this weekend. That is our monthly elimination tournament with open signups for everybody, and the winner gets an exclusive in-game tournament medal that you cannot get anywhere else. Signups end at the end of today. If you go to Awesomenautsrumble.com, there's a big fancy schmancy sign up button. So be sure to get some friends together. We seed by skill and region, so very good opportunity to try competitive. Don't forget to check out our other social medias. If you see them at the bottom of the below the stream there, because I'm so witty and original. I spent like 1 million hours rendering all these new info panels this weekend, so I'd appreciate if you clicked on them and went to our Steam group and Twitter and followed us on Twitch and all that great stuff. But with that said, that's going to be our stream for the day. Pyro, you have any last words, my friend?
No, it's always a blast coming out here. Just cast a Scrim Show. Thank you to Pillow for inviting me week after week, and he's still tolerating my existence, so that's pretty good to hear. But other than that, see you all lovely people next week.
Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.